So with that, we will move on to Super Rugby Unlocked down to South Africa. We had round 2 results in the books, and we have round 3 coming up this weekend. So yeah, as far as round 2 is concerned, we had the Cheetahs getting a big win over the Bulls, 19-17. Great game that was. And we had the Griquas losing at home 21-27 or 27-21 to the Pumas.
Great performance from the
Pumas. And we also had the Stormers getting it done in their first game of this comp, 23-17 win over the Lions at Newlands, which is great to see Newlands back as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so those were the 3 results. We're just going to kind of go through the teams individually from a point of view of those games. So first off, we had the Cheetahs, who are sitting pretty after 2 rounds atop the table with 9 points so far. They just managed to get it done despite fading a little bit towards the end of that game. Certainly the Bulls came back at them, and they didn't look like it was under control in the second half. But they managed to grit it out, which was very encouraging for them. Very tough blow to see Ruan Pienaar go down. That was one of the uglier sides of that whole game.
Yeah, it was. It was actually a nasty tackle from Van Staden.
It was one of my least favourite plays. It's actually something I wish was punished more. I think the ref in question had a really poor game at the breakdown. I think he didn't officiate it. He allowed kind of bedlam to go on. But like the offence, when you look at what happened to Pienaar, it was only pinged as a penalty, which it undoubtedly was, but it should have been more, because he dove over the top of a dead ruck, off his feet, not contesting for the ball,
taking out the scrum,
and played the 9. But not only played the 9, he dived at his leg and blew his ACL out. That's one of the more illegal, one of the more egregious things you can do. Like, there's 4 offences from a rugby point of view, as well as its captain and old man Pienaar, who you've just taken out. I think it could have been. There's an argument for a red card for it. It should have at least been yellow.
Well, there isn't an argument from the laws, unfortunately, unless you're saying he deliberately took him out, or tried to injure him. But I don't think he did. But it was a nasty one, and Van Staden, to be honest with you, was blessed to be on the pitch.
He was the beneficiary of the looseness of the ref. Like, he was guilty in most breakdowns.
He was all over the shop as Van Staden, no question. Actually, there was a nasty one to Cheslin Colby at the weekend as well, where he's in the action of scoring a try, was kneed by someone.
It's the same thing. Like, I think the rugby laws and World Rugby have tried in the last few years to try and clean up the game and make it safer in a few key areas. The collision in the air, the 2 guys going up for the high ball, obviously very dynamic, very dangerous situation. So they brought in law changes to make it safer and clarify it for refs, and they've done a good job of that. Now in this season, they're doing the same thing with breakdown in terms of entry points, in terms of staying on your feet, and that's all very well and very good. But there are a few little areas of foul play, and like you were calling for earlier on, just heads up sympathetic refereeing has to kind of, like, you don't necessarily need to change the laws, just interpret them correctly in terms of getting justice. The diving over the top and injuring the 9 of a dead ruck, that is a criminal play that should go punished by a card. And similarly, that one, like Cheslin is the latest example, but like the try scorer getting kneed by a defender sliding in with no attempt to tackle because the try's already scored. The only objective for that player in that moment is to get a cheeky knee in on the try scorer. And we've seen, like, Conway got his Australia tour a couple of years ago, got ended by a brutal collision like that with Dane Haley-Petty. You see it constantly because it goes unpunished. At the very least, it should be a restart with a penalty to the team who scored the try. At most, I would kind of like to see cards being introduced for it, or sightings being introduced for it.
I think the momentum is certainly shifting that way, yes. And you've seen a lot of people giving out about this stuff on Twitter as Chile score a try and get back into the game against Uruguay. Sorry, we're watching live here. For those on the shorter videos, we're watching the America's Rugby Championship. Good to see Chile score.
Yes.
But yes, back to the Cheetahs, and despite that injury to Ruan Pienaar, I thought they had a lovely game. They were much the better team, especially in that first half. They did let the Bulls back into it, and I'm thankful that they just about managed to survive it in the end, but they had some lovely passages of play. I thought Bernard Janssen van Rensburg was great in there with Steyn.
Partnered well with Steyn. They look very similar, both physicality and hair-wise, but they both combined well.
Yeah, and Yar on the right wing linking up with Speckman for that try. It was just a lovely set play, and was more. They brought more offensive dynamism in that one move to the game than the Bulls probably brought in the whole 80 minutes. So thoroughly deserved. We had said that the Bulls, they might struggle up in Bloemfontein. A lot of sides might struggle up in Bloemfontein, and the Chiefs, they have that chip on the shoulder. They're playing beautiful rugby. The Cheetahs, sorry. They playing beautiful rugby. They brought a classy brand and some clever acquisitions into their squad.
Yeah.
And shout out Tian Schoeman as well at 10, because he's had a wonderful start to the season.
He has, yeah. He had a few looser plays in the second half, which the whole team were guilty of, but by God, that first half he looked like a Springbok number 10.
Yeah.
Like, he certainly looks more like a Springbok number 10 than Elton Yankees. He's not soft.
Yeah.
He makes big physical hits. He carries to the line. He has a good passing game, good kicking, kicking game. Between himself and Franz Stein at 12, they have serious bootage in that back line, as well as just a lovely tempo that they play with. The Cheetahs are all excitement, and
they're making the case. They're making the case for themselves.
They are sitting atop, and Super Rugby Unlocked, they are 9 points through 2 games and sitting on top, and they're a good value for it. The Bulls, by contrast, 5 points through 2 games, I believe, is what they have. Which is that they're lucky enough to have, because they were pushed by the Griquas in week 1. They were very pedestrian again in this performance, and despite the fact that Dwayne Vermeulen managed to wake up to get nearly game stealing steal, which turned into the try that they couldn't quite convert.
No, there was a looseness to them. I thought there was one play that almost typified it. I mean, you're talking about a pack which has great individual players. And a 10 who's so experienced that it should be, classy, clinical, difficult to deal with 10-man rugby. Is what it should be. But what it is just so loose and poor. I mean, the Chiefs were at the pitch of the game, as we've been talking about all game, where the Bulls were not. There was one example in the second half when the Chiefs were dominating a scrum. And I was
Cheetahs.
The Cheetahs. I keep saying the Chiefs. The Cheetahs were dominating the scrum. And I was kind of wondering how this is happening, with the Bulls. They shouldn't be this bad. And then you watch the replay of it, and Dwayne Vermeulen, the whole back row, but Dwayne Vermeulen in particular, wasn't even pushing in the scrum. He was looking up, and then he actually broke and started jogging back before the ref's whistle had gone for the penalty. So
it was like absolute dialed out Dwayne going on right there.
Yeah, and he came into it great in the last 20, but just as a team we talked about Exeter back in Europe, having such a great club culture. Like, I don't know that the culture in the Bulls is all that good, and they looked a bit shot, and they missed that. Chris Smith missed that kick at the end, but they no more deserve to get anything out of the game, really, despite a looser second half from the Cheetahs. The game was there for the taking from them, but they didn't have the gumption to go and get it.
Well, some of the talk after the Chris Smith thing is like, Mornay should have played the whole game. That's obviously crazy, and it's like, yeah, but like, Mornay is ancient. With respect to Mornay, he's ancient. Like, if he has to play 80 minutes every time you're in a tough game, that's not a sustainable building block for the future. And then at halfback as well, Ambrose Papier and then Van Sale off the bench is so slow. I just don't know what they're doing with the ball. Certainly their ball in hand stuff, particularly in the first half, was abject.
Yeah.
And especially by contrast, the Cheetahs were moving it with such clip and such aplomb.
But I mean, it could work. The Bulls could work if their pack were sort of playing with ferocity and with real physicality.
Well, when you look at some of the guys, like Arna Botha in there, Jenkins, Van Staden.
To be fair, Van Staden was playing with ferocity.
They have in there. Like, there's no reason for them to look as abject as they do sometimes, and yet they were really not at the pitch of the game for most part in the first half. A few little doubts as well. Like, I'm not sure if the centre pairing of Swart and Hendricks is actually linking that well, either on offense or defense.
Hendricks not a winger, really. At the end of the day.
Hendricks is a winger.
He's just a winger. He's lost his pace.
That's exactly what he is. And no, he's at 13.
Oh, he's at 13.
He's defending the 13 channel, which is like questionable.
Yeah.
So and obviously Gio Aplon being injured for them, that is a cost to them. That's going to affect their ability to play that running rugby.
Any counter-attacking game.
For
but
sure.
What I would love to see them be is just a little tighter, more physical, but not loosely physical. Not I'm giving penalties away physical. Tight and controlled physicality where you can impose yourself on a team and let Mornay guide you up the pitch. Protect Mornay and let him guide you up the pitch. It's not the prettiest form of rugby, but it's what the Bulls have at the moment that they're not bringing, and hopefully they can take those learnings.
And it's like they will never, as far as like they have such quality player for player that they'll never be fully out of it. Like, they have such physicality that they can go on and win this competition still. They have 5 points from 2 games. They're not out of it, but certainly as of now they'll need to up their game quite significantly. And then we have the Pumas and the Griquas, who played a great contest as well.
I enjoyed it.
It was really fun, and the Pumas got the better of it, and they deserved it. The Pumas got their valuable win, which probably is good enough to see them secure not bottom in this kind of a bridge to given the format. They're only playing each other once. It'll be tough for the Griquas to get that win back. The Pumas looked deserving of it. They scored the better tries. They came out, as we were talking again, the right pitch for the right game. The Griquas looked like they were a little sluggish after their great showing against the Bulls the week before. They didn't quite match what the Pumas brought in the first quarter.
So the try scored by Moritz on the right wing towards the end of the half was just a lovely score that deserved to win the game, where the Griquas, by contrast, were making mistakes and sloppily damn near failed to score the try that they did score.
That monstrous maul that drove over, and then did they ground it? I don't know.
It was a weird one, to be sure, but over the course of the game, I thought the Pumas were just more solid and were that 6 points better. I think Fuchs at 10 is a class player.
He definitely enjoyed playing at that level, as we suspected the week before when they were blitzed by the Cheetahs. He looked like a skillful lad who was kind of taken aback by this level and speed that he's not used to playing at, whereas this was much more his speed, his level, and he looked good. His little left-handed skip pass for that try in the first one was
classy touches all over.
And then by contrast with the Griquas, their halfbacks, I have their names down here.
Whitehead and Berger.
Sorry, yes. They provided very little control, and Whitehead in particular, the 10, was hiding out on the wing a lot on defense and missing tackles when it did get to him. The Pumas just made it tough for them, and certainly from the Griquas' point of view, the very first 3-pointer that they kicked, the very first play of the game, they managed to get themselves deep into enemy territory, got a penalty advantage, and then their 12, Vanderbank, made one of the ugliest plays I've ever seen, where he got the ball in a bit of space on the thing, tripped over himself, nearly fell over, and before he went to ground, kicked the ball away. And it was like, what is this? And it kind of set the tone for the rest of their afternoon, just bizarre, sloppy errors that went punished because the Pumas actually came to play and really took that win. Curiously enough, 27-21, the exact same scoreline they beat the Griquas by at Griquas Park in last year's Currie Cup.
There you go.
Go figure. But the Pumas, good value for their win, and they have I think 4 points from their 2 games, which is good going.
Solid stuff.
Still in it. Still in the mix.
The Stormers opened their campaign with a nice home win against the competitive Lions, but once again they outmatched them. They'll be confident rolling into the weeks gone by. I actually missed this game live, so I've only seen the highlights. But they're a huge pack with the likes of Kitsoff and Mbanambi and Malherbe and Khaleesi. That's just a massive team. And I saw Warwick Gallant have some nice touches as well.
A lovely little half break for one of their scores as well.
And nice to see Herschel Yankees throwing a bit of a clutch pass for one of their tries as well. And just enough. The Lions had some very, very pretty moments. They scored a lovely, pretty try with a nice break. Elton Yankees' try that was made by the lad on the wing.
Even their first try to take the 10-3 lead in the beginning was fantastic as well.
They are bringing the speed. I like to see them bringing the speed
and bringing the width, which is good to see from them. The intercept from Yankees was a concern.
Unfortunate. Well, it was trying to bring too much speed and too clustered a zone. That ball needed to go deeper before it went wide, and it was just too much going on in there, and then Yankees kind of just throws the ball without looking, and then that's the game. Those are the margins. But that was there was a quality win for the Stormers, and I was happy to see it. And going on, we have the Sharks obviously, who had their good win last week and the bye in the week just gone, but the good win on opening weekend with the likes of Notcha and Boutalese and Van Heerden in that pack, who I think could I think themselves and the Stormers could be competing for it in the end.
They could.
But, we have a few fixtures heading up into next week. We have the Pumas against the Stormers. That's a big game for the Stormers. Can they kick on, or can the Pumas back up a win with a very surprising win?
Back-to-back wins. They are at home at Umbella Stadium. Friday kickoff is at 7 p.m. on Friday on that one.
Clashes again with the Scotland-Georgia game.
It always.
What are they doing with me? To me. The Lions and the Cheetahs are playing in Ellis Park on Saturday at 4:30.
That's going to be a cracker of a game.
It is.
Up at altitude, 2 running rugby teams, 2 cats.
A lot of fun, exactly. 2 cats. The Lions and the Cheetahs. Which one of these running rugby teams is going to cause the big boys the most trouble? Obviously, the Lions have had a rough start.
The Lions could win that game. They could win this game. The Lions have had the toughest start of anyone, and may have a bridge too far to recover their loss. Obviously, each team only plays each other once in this, and they were unfortunate enough to have to travel to the Sharks and the Stormers to take them on, and they got 2 losing bonus points from those games, which in the context of the Currie Cup, which is the bigger competition, that's not a terrible result, and they're still in the mix for that. But for Super Rugby Unlocked, they really need to start winning with 5-pointers now to get themselves back into contention. And a 5-pointer's not out of question. It could be a case
5 points each, or no?
It is the 3-try rule, but there's definitely tries out there up at altitude against the Cheetahs. But I'm looking forward to a high tempo game in Ellis Park between two great sides who want to throw the ball around.
Absolutely, no question. And then it rounds up with the Bulls against the Sharks, which is obviously a massive game as well. The Bulls, we've been given out there too loose. The Sharks are probably the tightest and most disciplined team in South Africa against possibly the loosest, but a team with a lot of physicality, and that's out in Loftus. I would make the Sharks the favourites, but the Bulls, with the players they have, Dwayne Vermeulen's, can they make something happen?
If they step up, they can definitely punish the Sharks. The Sharks are a little diminished on where we saw them at their pump before lockdown. They've lost that lethal back three that they had.
They do. No Fassi, no Nkosi, no Mapimpi, and in their place an ancient Manny Lebok and an ancient JP Peterson.
Yeah.
Although Werner Koch looks like a result out there.
He does, yes. Good sevens convert. He got his first bit of meat in the first week. It was great to see. And this week, actually, it's the Griquas with a bye. They have to sit and think about what they've done. But so those are the fixtures coming up this weekend.
South African rugby boiling away nicely in the background.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you enjoyed what you hear, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below as well. We enjoy hearing your opinions too. Thank you.